You have been lying to yourself. For how much longer will you continue this self-deception? Take a moment, right now, to feel the weight of that question. It sits heavy in your chest, doesn't it? That familiar ache of a promise broken to yourself. You feel it in the stillness of the early morning before the noise of the day begins, or in the silent darkness of night when the distractions fade and the truth surfaces. You are not fulfilled. You are not moving forward. And you know why? The first lie you tell yourself is that you are busy. But the truth is, you are simply weak. The first lie is the one you tell yourself every single morning when you wake up tired and immediately grab your phone, checking emails from bed, thinking you are starting the day productively. You tell yourself you're trying. You say you're busy all day, your calendar is full, you are always in motion. But a packed schedule is not the same as a productive life. A packed schedule is empty movement, a frantic dance to avoid the stillness where the brutal truth resides. It is the lie you whisper to yourself to avoid facing the reality that you are not moving forward, you are simply running in place. You are not busy. You are distracted. You do not have a time problem, you have a focus problem. This frantic motion is a lie, a shield you hold up to avoid the brutal truth of your own weakness. Most people think they are busy, but a savage reality check reveals the cold, hard numbers of their day. Miyamoto Musashi, the greatest samurai philosopher, understood this brutal self-assessment. He didn't celebrate after his most famous duel. He disappeared into a cave for 2 years to study his own weaknesses. That's Earth Ring thinking. It's the principle of knowing the smallest things and the biggest things. When you track your actual time usage, what you find is not a productivity machine fighting against time, but a distraction addict lying to himself. You find out that you're productive for maybe 2 or 3 hours a day. The rest of your time is fake work, busy work, avoidance dressed up as effort. This is why motivation fails you. You cannot motivate yourself out of a delusion. You need Earth Ring honesty first. Musashi wrote in Dakodo, "Accept everything just the way it is, not the way you wish it was." This is the first step to a radical, brutal change. You must accept that you have been lying to yourself, that your exhausting days have been self-inflicted. Reality doesn't care about your excuses. It doesn't care about your feelings. It only cares about the truth, the raw, unvarnished numbers. Once you see the real numbers, everything changes. Not because you try harder, but because you can't unsee the truth. This acceptance is the first cut of the blade, the one you must make against your own false self. This is where the discipline begins, not in an act of grand heroism, but in the quiet, ugly moment of accepting you are weak. But knowing you're weak is just step one. What happens when you try to change? When reality fights back? You've faced the mirror and seen the ugly truth. The cold numbers of your wasted time have burned into your brain. Your immediate, predictable response is a complete overhaul. You decide to wake up at 4 a.m., do a 2-hour workout, work 8 hours of deep, focused work, and take cold showers. It's a military precision schedule, a heroic plan with zero flexibility. You believe this is the way to win. This is where most people crash. Day 1, you wake up at 6 a.m., not 4, and by noon, you've quit everything. You feel the familiar shame, the whispered failure, and you tell yourself you're not disciplined enough. But you're not wrong. You are not water enough. You are too rigid, smashing against reality with a fantasy plan, and reality is always going to win that fight. Musashi, in the Book of 5 Rings, wrote that water adopts the shape of its receptacle. This is not a metaphor for being flexible and soft. It is an instruction to stop fighting reality with rigid, fantasy plans. Think of Musashi's early career. He didn't use the same weapon twice in his first 20 duels. He used swords, spears, sticks, and his bare hands. He was learning that rigid plans fail against reality. Water doesn't break the rock by force, it wears it down by persistence. Your habits are the same. Small, consistent pressure beats dramatic, heroic attempts every single time. The lie of heroic efforts is what makes you quit when the plan inevitably crumbles. You think you can skip the basics, that you are different. But even Musashi started with a wooden sword, spending years on basic cuts before his first real duel. The strategic genius of the water ring is to flow around obstacles, not smash into them. You don't need to do 100 push-ups, you need to do 10. You don't need to read a full chapter, you need to read a single page. You don't need to meditate for 20 minutes, you need to do 2. You think these are pathetic efforts. They are not. They are the seeds of a new identity. Your brain expects you to quit after 10 push-ups, so you do 11. Your mind expects you to give up on page 1, so you read to page 2. Each small victory is a small, consistent pressure that rewires your identity brick by tiny brick. You become a person who doesn't quit. You discover that discipline isn't about grand, heroic efforts. It's about consistent adaptation. When 10 push-ups get easy, you do 15. When 25 minutes of focus feels short, you do 30. By week 4, you're naturally waking up earlier and getting 4 hours of deep work done. Not because you forced it, but because you flowed toward it. But once you start winning, a new enemy appears. An enemy that has destroyed more warriors than any external opponent. You've started winning. The small, consistent pressures are working. You're waking up earlier, a habit is taking root. Your workouts are no longer a fantasy but a daily reality. The momentum is building, and you feel the surge of progress. But then you step outside your bubble. You see someone bench pressing twice your weight. Someone younger than you is closing million-dollar deals. A runner you follow on social media is training for a marathon while you're still proud of your 45-minute workout. The anger hits you. I'm pathetic, a familiar voice whispers. Look at how far behind I am. What's the point of all this? You feel the urge to skip a workout, then another. The spiral begins, the old enemy returning, and this time it feels even more brutal because it comes from within. This is the fire that can consume you or forge you. This is the trap of jealousy and self-attack. You see someone else's good fortune, and instead of using it as a lesson, you let it become a weapon against yourself. Most people let this anger consume them, turning it inward in a spiral of self-loathing that leads to self-destruction. But Musashi taught a different way. He was not a victim of his emotions. He was a master of them. Musashi's father died when he was 7. Instead of becoming a victim, he turned his rage into routine, training for 14 hours a day, fueled by his fury. But here is the key, the savage truth. He aimed that fury at his weakness, not at himself. The fire ring is about harnessing this productive rage. Anger is not a moral failing. It is energy. Most people let it waste away, but a warrior uses it to forge himself. Musashi wrote, "Do not be jealous of others' good or evil, not because jealousy is morally wrong, but because it wastes precious fuel." Every moment you spend angry at someone else's success is energy you could be using to destroy your own mediocrity. The voice that tells you you're not good enough is not your enemy, it's your drill sergeant. The problem is not the voice, it's that you're attacking yourself instead of attacking the problem. This is your daily ritual, a brutal conversation with yourself. At the end of the day, you must acknowledge what you hate about your current state. You ate garbage for lunch. You checked your phone during deep work. You only did 30 push-ups. Then you convert that hatred into tomorrow's mission. Anger about 30 push-ups? Tomorrow's minimum is 35. Pissed about checking your phone? Tomorrow, the phone stays in another room. Your emotions are neither good nor bad, they are just energy. The question is where you aim them. Aim anger at yourself, and you self-destruct. Aim it at your weakness, and you evolve. Within 2 weeks, your progress will double, not because you found motivation, but because you stopped wasting anger on self-attack and started using it for self-improvement. The fury was always there. Now it has a purpose. But what happens when that purpose is fulfilled? When the rage actually works and you start winning? You're a different person now. The daily grind has become a ritual, the early morning's a habit. You're hitting your numbers and the world is starting to notice. Friends and family are asking what happened to you. This is the new you, forged in the fire of productive rage and the persistent flow of small habits. You've won the first few battles, and a dangerous feeling begins to settle in. It's a soft, seductive whisper that says, "You've made it. You're disciplined now. You can ease up." This is the moment you stop tracking your time, believing you no longer need the system that got you here. You skip 1 workout, then 3. Your focused work sessions become scattered. Within weeks, you've lost 50% of your gains. This is the new enemy, more treacherous than the others because it uses your own success against you. Success becomes a trap. Musashi's Wind book exists for this exact moment. He wrote about the strategies of other schools not to mock them, but to warn against the arrogance that comes with victory. At age 50, after defeating every swordsman in Japan and winning over 60 duels, he still called himself a student. He declared, "I have not yet reached the way." You get comfortable after weeks, while he stayed hungry after decades. The enemy isn't other people, it's the version of you that thinks you've arrived. The second you think you don't need your systems anymore is the second you begin to fall. Your arrogance makes you lose the honesty that got you here. The Wind Ring teaches you to adopt the student mindset as a compass for growth. Musashi studied other schools obsessively, not to steal techniques, but to stay humble. He knew that true mastery lies in constant self-improvement, in recognizing that there is always more to learn. You must find someone better than you. Study their methods. Allow yourself to feel that discomfort and inadequacy again, for that feeling is a compass pointing directly toward growth. Musashi used this principle to keep himself sharp while others grew soft and complacent. The Wind book reveals that every level of discipline has its own challenge. The beginner's challenge is starting. The intermediate's is consistency. The advanced challenge is not believing you are advanced. The moment you become satisfied with your progress is the moment you stop progressing. The true warrior never stops learning, never stops growing. He accepts that his journey is endless. And that brings us to the final and most brutal ring. The path of walking alone. You have walked alone and won the battles of self-deception, rigidity, arrogance, and jealousy. You are a different man. You wake up early, you are consistent in your actions, and you use your anger to fuel your evolution. But as you continue this path, you hit a final existential wall. You realize something that almost breaks you. This never gets easier. Ever. You will wake at 4 a.m. forever. You will track your time forever. You will fight your weaknesses forever. The thought makes you sick. When does it end, you ask? When do I get to just be disciplined? The answer is brutal and beautiful. Never. That's what the Void Ring teaches. You think discipline is a bridge to an easier life, but that is the final lie that will make you quit when you realize the bridge has no end. The Void Ring shatters the myth of a finish line. Most people believe they can train hard now and coast later, build habits now and cruise on autopilot later. The daily battle never gets easier, but you get stronger. You don't reach a point where discipline becomes easy, you become someone who does hard things automatically, not because they are easy, but because that's just what you do. The workouts, the early mornings, the planning, they are not steps to somewhere else. They are the destination. The path itself is the point. Musashi understood this when he wrote that he painted every day, not to become a painter, but because warriors paint. He practiced calligraphy, not to become a writer, but because warriors write. The activity was not the point, the practice was. The way of living is what separates warriors from everyone else. The void is not an empty place. It's full of acceptance. It's the acceptance that you will fight laziness tomorrow, that you will track your time forever, and that the war against mediocrity never ends. This is where the paradox lies. When you accept the eternal struggle, it stops being a struggle. It becomes your nature, like breathing. You don't struggle to breathe, you just breathe. Discipline becomes the same. The struggle is not the price of discipline. The struggle is the discipline. The eternal war is not what you endure to become disciplined. It is what makes you disciplined every day forever. And that is exactly how it should be. The rings are waiting. The question is, are you? Please like, subscribe, and share this video to help us guide more people toward a path of true self-mastery. Leave a comment below with which ring of Miyamoto Musashi's philosophy resonated most with you.